Hello, Facebook. I'm Fizer. It's a beautiful morning. It's almost noon. I wanted to leave a thought with you. Um, so many times we can talk about God and how to walk with God and how to do things with God. There's one thing I found out that all of us have a different perspective of God. It's like having a friend or knowing someone, and everybody has a different knowing or a different relationship with the same person that's known. Some people may know me and say I don't like him. Some people may know me and say he's this or that. And then another person could know me and say, oh, I like him. Fizer is a cool dude. I really like him. It's because everybody has a different opinion or perspective of one particular person. And so all of us on here who may know God, well, the person we know is not the same to everybody. You can be saved and you could say, well, this person should know God. Well, they may know God, but they may not know the experience that you know or the person that you know. And so it's hard to get a Bible and get a verse and read it and say this, because everybody has a different relationship or understanding of this person. And so if I get up and I teach and I say, well, if you know God, you would do this and you would do that and you would do this. And some people could get offended because they could say, well, how could you tell me what to do? You can't tell me what to do with God or this or that. Because everybody has a different perspective or whatever. And it'll sound a bit intrusive, and some people get offended if you say what to do with God. How could you tell a person what to do with God? All right, so let's not tell a person what to do. It almost makes it impossible to be quote unquote leaders of spiritual movements. Because everybody's going to say, well, how could you tell me what to do? Am I following you or what? Everybody's going to have a different perspective about that. But this is what we're going to talk about for just a minute. And there's a scripture that says God is love. Okay, if we may not know the person, if we don't know the theological perspective of God or some of the deep things of God or some of this or that about God, we all know love. And even though we have a different interpretation of love, love is a common thread that everybody can relate to, because love has something to do with value. Love has something to do not just with kindness, but value and something adored and a treasure. And so, since we all relate to love, what do we treasure? And what do we value? And if we value something and treasure something, then we are inspired by it. Let's take off the theological rhetoric from it. Let's take off the verses. Because if you read the Bible, everybody's going to have an interpretation of that. If you read the scripture, everybody's going to have it. Let's remove all of that. God is love. So I'm going to ask you something. What's inspiring you? What's inspiring your heart? Let's take the theologics out of it. Let's take the hermeneutics out of it. What is inspiring you right now? What are you treasuring right now? And what are you adoring right now? Because whatever you adore, you are inspired by to be your best. Whatever you treasure, you are motivated by, because you treasure it and it creates the priority of your movement. Let's forget the scriptures. What are you being inspired by right now? What's causing you to move forward in your most greatest things in life? What's causing you to move forward? Let's don't look at the verse, because the scripture said, let's don't look at the verse. Because if I say God, your view of God may be different than my view of God, and you will think that I'm intruding because I'm going to say everybody don't think that way. Fizer, I hear what you're saying, but everybody don't think the way you think, and everybody don't do that. And I will refuse to hear what you say because it makes me feel like I'm not doing nothing with nothing. So let's move that out the way. You know love. What is love causing you to do right now? What is the greatest thing you love? What is it motivating you to be right now? What are you being inspired to do right now? What excuses is love causing you to transcend right now? What are you protecting, and what is your greatest treasure in your heart? And what is that treasure doing with you right now? And you'll find your gospel. You will find your gospel. Because everybody don't agree with the biblical gospel. And I'm talking about Christian. I'm talking about believers. Everybody has a different perspective on that. Well, how did you get that? How did you get this? But you can get love. So right now, are you loving something that's causing you not to have excuse? Because love, now let me put it this way. You know it in relationships. Let's say you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and wife, and that girlfriend or wife or boyfriend or husband don't do a particular thing. It's going to cause you to say, well, how come you didn't say this because of this? Why you didn't call me? Well, when you saw me, why didn't you respond? Well, I saw you looking at her, or I saw you looking at him, but why did you look at me that way? Did you see me over there? See, whenever you think you are adored or loved, you think attention is there. And wherever you feel that you have the right to the attention and you don't get it, it's going to make you ask. It's going to make you question your worth. It's going to make you question the intentions of another. Because in a relationship where love is supposed to be, you will look at attention, you will look at adoration, and you will look at protection. If your husband is spending more time over here, but forgetting his responsibilities over here, you're going to say, do you love that house over here, or do you love this house? If your wife is giving attention, you're going to say, do you love that house? So we understand love. Forget God, forget this, but we understand love because we feel whatever we love, we adore. Whatever we adore has our attention. Whatever has our attention have our protection. And we transcend excuses. If I love you, I won't make an excuse. If I love you, I will prioritize you into the zone. So I'm going to ask you, forget our theological perspectives of God, and when we talk about dreams and vision, and we talk about the divine mind and consciousness expansion, and you're going to soar, and there's something that's called the divine quota, and forget all of that. Let's look at this. What do you love? What is it that you're loving that's causing you to not make excuses? What are you loving that's causing you to protect something in the soul? Because whatever you love, you protect. Whatever you protect, you value. Whatever you value, you want. Whatever you value causes you to transcend procrastination. So if there is something inspiring me, there is no such thing as procrastination or excuses or fear or limitations because I value it. That's what I get from God. Now, before I go, how many of you are experiencing that right now in your own life? Because you might not agree with a lot of stuff that I say about God. I might say we're who God is. We are God. Some of you don't agree with all of that, and that's all right. Some of you might say, Andre Fizer, you're taking that too far. And then we got to find the cliques who believe it and the people who don't. And I don't like how you say this, and I don't like how you say that. It's not biblical. You got to be biblical. It's not biblical. It's not in the verse. Biblical. It's not biblical. Is it gospel? Is it biblical? Is it this? Is it? Okay, but let's get to love. If I love something, I protect it. If I value something, I live for it. And I don't make excuses with it. So is that the gospel you know? I just want to know. Is that the Jesus, and is that the gospel you know? Where it keeps you from making excuses and you find something totally valuable and you protect it with your life. That's love. God is love. God might not be the theological explanation that I give to you. You don't have to agree with that, but you can agree with love. And what are you inspired to do with yourself? What are you being inspired to do with yourself? I could tell you, if you know God, you won't do this. And some of you might not agree. You can't tell me what I would do. You don't know me. Everybody know God for themselves. Yeah, everybody does. So that means everybody loves different. So if it's love, are you inspired? How could I love? How could I love and I'm not inspired? Because if I'm love, I'm inspired. You know, ladies, that's what you tell your guys. I don't inspire you to get up and pay them. I don't inspire you. Oh, I gotta wear this for you. I gotta wear my hair like No, if it's love, it's inspiration. So what am I inspired? If I love you, I'm gonna protect you. And I'm gonna make sure you have. And I'm gonna make sure you don't worry. And I'm gonna make sure it's all right. Even if we're in a tough spot, I'm going to let you know you are going to be all right. So, what are you inspired to do? This is following love. Is this the God you know? Not the God, because if it's love, do you need somebody to love you so you could screw up all the time and they don't get mad? Or are you looking for somebody that loves you so much that you could just go F up time, and I said F up. F up all your time, screw up all your time, and they just take you. I mean, that's selfishness. Is that love or codependency? I need somebody to love me so I can screw up everything and they don't get mad. Or is love causing you to be the very best in yourself? I hope I didn't offend y'all by saying F up stuff. I think y'all say that too. You understand what I'm saying? Is love inspiring you to protect and value yourself and be inspired and have no excuse? Is that God? Is that God? You might not believe in all the little revelatory things I say. But do you agree with love? Because God is love. And God is inspiring. And so if you love, and if that's God you know, then you are an inspired individual that don't believe in fear, that's living your greatest nature, and that's not taking average for an answer because you love. Is that God? You might not agree with everything I say about being this or that. Forget that. Well, show me that in the Bible. When it's love, the word says, wherever there is love, there is no law. I don't need to pick up a Bible when there is a love. I don't need to pick up a Bible when love is there. Because if there's love, I'm going to adore it. I'm going to value it. I'm going to treasure it. I'm going to expand. I'm going to be unlimited. I'm not going to be average because there is love. Now, women, you want that from your men. Men, you want that from your women. So if we want that in our personal relationships and people that we love and sleep with and go to bed with and stuff like that and have children with and go out, then we need this with our own stewardship of our minds. Are we being great stewards of our mind to the point that we see love that same way too? Because if you're going to demand it from your woman, you got to demand it from yourself. If you're going to demand that from your brother, from your dude, you got to demand that for yourself. Because you can tell a man, where you been? I should be. And then if they don't call or text, I'm hurt because I'm not valued. If they don't say this, if she don't do this, I'm not valued. Why did you give him the greater cologne and gave me this little tester, but you gave him, oh, you want him? That's who you really want. Well, God is the same way. God is love. Am I inspired? Forget the theologians, theologics, the hermeneutics. Am I inspired? And how far am I willing to go? You want your woman to go far with you, ride or die. You want your man to go far, ride or die. How willing am I willing to go? It's all about love. God is love. No excuse. No fear. No doubt. And if I value me, I'm going to protect me. If I really love, because some people are going to fight me. You can't say, if I love, I'm not going to put myself in treacherous situations. I'm not going to put myself in debilitating situations. I'm not going to put myself in fearful situations because I adore what God thought of me when he made me. You might not like everything I say, but you can't fight with love. God is that. Everybody has a different perception of God. Everybody looks at God. Even Jesus, when we get up in church and we say, tell the Lord thank you, everybody has a different perception of the Lord that we're saying thank you to.